Okay, let's talk about Ancestry.com for a minute. It's actually interesting, it really is. Now the thing is though, there's a little clicker there that you have to pay attention to. And it may be done purposely, I don't know. Let me see, I don't know if I haven't got it on this one, I can just type it in real quick so it's not a big deal. See what happens. But meanwhile, like I was saying, it's a nice day today. Oh, by the way, today is May 31st, 2018, and it is 11 o'clock, and that's AM, and that's here on the East Coast. Now, with that being said, let me see if I have anything here. Hold on a minute. I'm looking. I thought I may have, but apparently I don't have. So... Ancestry.com. Oh, okay. I'm sorry, guys. So, meanwhile, if you were to sign in, there's a free trial, which I'm trying to figure out a little bit more about that, because what do you do if you don't keep your contract up? You know what I mean? You know, it's a free trial, but I don't know. I got to find out more about it. But meanwhile, let me see, what do we got here? Do we got anything to give us an idea or an indication without me signing in? Now, this is what we have here. If I was to redo this, now, right now, we have the full package down here. If you do a DNA, you can get this package. They'll send you it doesn't show it here, but if you do a DNA, as of a few days ago, you'll get an email stating that because you did a DNA, you can get this $200 package for $100. You know, $99, whatever. But at that point, you know, you have to do the DNA. Now, what that does give you is, it does give you a lot with the military, worldwide, newspaper articles. I mean, it basically gives you everything. Now, do you need everything? Well, I'll tell you what. You're probably going, in my opinion, I don't know if I'm going to need everything right now if I was to resign. The military newspaper articles are nice, but I haven't seen that many of them, so I don't really need all that. The U.S. international, you know, stuff like that, yeah, that's kind of handy if you know that you have heritage from another country. Because if you haven't got that, you're not going to find it. And then naturally you have this other one up here for $99, which is basically the U.S. So meanwhile, with that being said, if I was to do this again, I would probably have to go with the 149. I wouldn't really go nuts with the military piece right now because, again, I have it, so I know. All access, it gives you stories, among more, 112 million pages of newspaper articles. Well, that's what's in their database, not necessarily what's going to be on you. And in the military, it does all the military records. But other than that, as you can see, those are the only two. So the second one would probably be where I'd go for now, seeing that I'm still doing a lot of research. Now, the thing is, up here in the corner, let me see if I can sign in here. Well, I know I can if I remember my password, so hold on a minute. Okay, I had to cover some information, which you still may or may not be able to see. But meanwhile, right here, you have an envelope, and right here you have how many leaves. When you first get into this thing here, and you start it, there's little leaves that come on little pictures or little icons that is part of your tree. So if you have a name, Joe Smith, and there's something there that may have a link somehow to you. Now, it may not even be a George Smith that you're in, that's related, but it's going to show a lot of George Smiths that may have something in common. Address, date of birth, state, country, whatever. So that's what all these little things are here. So you end up with a leaf on George Smith. So you click on it and it'll give you all these different things for you to research. And then that's how you start building your tree, by research. You do have to have a little knowledge on your family to get started, or at least somebody that can kind of help you with family. But meanwhile, it kind of helps you get started. So that's what the 99 count is. Right next to that you're not seeing right now because I didn't sign in, there's another icon up there that says professional help or ancestry help or something like that, that you can click on, and it's going to cost you money to have them research for you. And then you'll see them building your family tree, but it's going to cost you money. So you have to make sure that when you go up here to click on your little trees, all right, like for instance here is showing a bunch of stuff right here right now that's not connected to me in any way, shape, or form. But at that point, right next to that, if you clicked on that accidentally without paying attention and going further on in, it's going to start costing you money, and you can end up dropping thousands of dollars because what you're basically doing is paying them to do the work. So you got to make sure that you don't do that. Now, with that being said, I'm going to sign out of here for a minute. Okay. Take that back off. The other day, I would strongly recommend, especially if you're catching up in years a little bit, if you're just starting your life out, and you're still gaining, your credits and stuff like that, I don't know how far you actually want to go. I don't know. I really don't. I don't want to say anything good or bad about it. At my age, I put my DNA in. I don't care. You know what I mean? So I did a DNA test, and I was waiting for it to come back. Where I'm going here now is, so meanwhile, I'm doing a lot of research just on what I know and what I was able to get from my aunt on my father's side. She's the only living relative that's left on my father's side. It's his sister. So she's 83 years old or so, 84. She's up there. I don't know exactly how old, but meanwhile she's up there. But she still has her wits about her, and she still gets on Fox News and calls in and has a lot to say, But meanwhile, I call her up if I have any little questions about that side of the family. And, she can go back to where she was starting to name certain names like a Ford, an O'Brien, and things like that. But she really didn't know much more than that. So knowing the history of my family on my father's side, coming from upstate New York, and owning a number of farms up that way, that also helped me. So I started doing a lot of research. And then I said, let me go off to my mother's side for a few minutes. So I went off to my mother's side. Now, there's really nobody around on my mother's side. I do have two cousins, that was, well, they're cousins through, naturally, my aunt. And well, one of them Mary's my age. The other one, Margaret, she's probably about 5 or 6 years younger. But we haven't talked in a long time. A long time. They may not even talk to me, to be honest with you. I mean, it's been that long. But meanwhile, I started doing some research there. And I know, again, some of the addresses. You start to think about different things you heard when you were younger. you know, and I remembered different addresses. Not so much the exact address, but the street or the road or whatever. So I remember something about this one address that popped up, and I said, oh, wait a minute, let me check into that. So I start checking into that, and I find my grandfather and my grandmother on my mother's side, and it shows, you know, my mother's name, her maiden name. Then it would show my aunt, you know, her with her maiden name. At that point, with that particular address, I had four aunts, or three aunts rather. But at that point, at that particular address, at that time, only two of them were born, which was my mother and my second aunt. So it rang, it came in. So I said, okay, let me start doing more research on that one. Well, as I started doing some more research, another name pops up.